Megan McGlover, coming to your vibe.
Oh, you know I'm coming.
Megan McGlover, coming to your vibe.
Am I saying it right?
Bold, don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid.
I said, people,
Touch your neighbor.
don't be stupid.
Ooh, love you long, love you strong.
Love you long, love you strong. Megan McGlover, coming to your vibe.
I know I'm talking good.
All right, so Blanchard, I have heard so much about you. I have been watching you, and it has just been a privilege to see someone else. There are many people, but to see someone else who is also a truth teller, who is, just breaking it down and telling people what it really is. It's so funny because for me, I've been telling the truth all my life. So I don't really know any other way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Of course, back then it wasn't being considered telling the truth. It was being rude,
Yeah.
or tactless, or all these other adjectives. But now truth is really, really, really important, and people are starting to come to realize that you cannot keep bullshitting. So
Yeah.
I found you on Instagram, but we talked over the phone, and you told me that you had watched some of my YouTube videos from, that's how you found me years and years and years ago. So
Right.
honor to have you here. We're going to do some talking, and no telling how long we'll be on here or whatever, but I'm just grateful, Blanche,
Uh,
for you to be here, really.
yeah, I'm happy to be here too, man. It's amazing because, like, you following somebody and then you're on the phone with them, like years later, and
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like that's how God works, though. I never would have thought in a million years I'd be talking to you on the phone or being, doing a Zoom call with you at all. So, it's crazy.
That's just incredible,
Yeah.
and it goes to show you that you must continue. You
Yeah.
cannot give up with your purpose. You cannot give up with whatever it is that you're doing. You must continue, because you don't know how the paths are going to cross. You
Yeah.
just don't know. So it would behoove you to stay strong, stay focused, stay on that track, because like you said, you had no idea that we would be on the phone, much less on a Zoom, much less
Yeah.
doing a whatever this is, a podcast, whatever it is going to turn into. So
Yeah.
it's just really, really amazing. So tell me a little bit about your story. You kind of know about mine, but tell me a little bit about your story and how you even got into your thought, or your
Well,
thought
I mean,
process.
basically, I got on social media like everybody else. And then, what's crazy? I remember when IG first added videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a girl that I know, a lot of folks were against the videos in the beginning. I don't know if you remember that, but folks were like, don't do videos. So I remember one girl, I remember her saying, if you do a video, I'm a delete you or unfollow you or something crazy, right? And I
Wow.
don't know what it was about her saying that, but it just made me want to start doing videos. I don't know the way she
Don't
said it.
threaten me. Do
Yeah, I
not
was
threaten
like,
me.
and honestly, that's what got me started with videos. Honestly, like when she said it, I was just like, I've been posting videos ever since. But a lot of my stuff in the beginning is really like comedy type of stuff,
Yeah.
relationship stuff, like being funny. Because I'm really a, jokester type person. Kind of lighthearted. Um, but these past couple of years, things have gotten kind of serious. So
Yeah.
that's what really turned my content up. I would say these last 4 years, and I attribute that to I would say Trump being president, because it seems like him being in office kind of opened up Pandora's box for just every conspiracy,
Sheesh.
everything racist, everything crooked, everything behind the scenes. I mean, it just seemed like the floodgates opened up for information, and it's kind of that's where it all started for me as far as my videos, going to a different level. I got shadow banned a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, it was a young man that got killed in New York. They were chasing him like in the store. It was mistaken identity. The girl did a sex video with a guy, and she told the guys he was somebody else, her brothers in his gang, that it was somebody else. And so they went after the guy that was her, like the nice kid in the neighborhood everybody liked. She just said,
Oh, was that when they got him with the machete?
yes.
Oh no, I didn't know that she lied.
Yeah, she lied on him.
Oh, Blanchard, please, Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't
So
even.
she was in a sex tape with the other guy, and it's sad because they basically killed the boy, but I was upset about that only because he's running to all these adults and none of them are helping him. And so I did a video and it went viral, like, 1.5 million, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I did a few other videos that went viral. The next thing I know, my videos went from 1.5 million and 500,000 to 3 views.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
10 views. I was like, what the heck going on? So anyway, so that's what got me started, Megan. That was the start.
Yeah, it's crazy. The shadow banning is really crazy because I've been viral so many times. I mean, like I literally from 2011 till now, I've gotten I can't even count how many millions and millions of views, but they'll let me post some funny shit, videos about the dogs or something like that, something funny. But as soon as I get serious, they snatch it, like they'll let it go and then they snatch it real quick.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, here she goes talking sense again. Here she goes making sense again. We can't have that shit. We can't have that. So
you know what's crazy? It's funny because I would go on other people's pages when somebody said, I think I saw your video. I would look on their page and the video has like 300,000 views. But on my page, that same video got about 100 views. I'm like, it don't even make sense.
Yes, that's exactly right. And then, so one of my recent videos that went viral was the one where I was asking Black people, what do you want? I said, well, what do you want? You got Ice Cube trying to fight. You got this, you got that. What do you want? On Tamika Hamilton's Twitter, it went over 1 million views on her Twitter. It was even reposted by, it was retweeted and reposted by somebody, I think it was Trump's campaign manager or something. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was on Newsmax. All that. And on my page, it got like maybe 70,000 views, something like that. Something crazy. Yeah. And every time I look on Instagram, my followers are going down. I'm like, how is this possible? How is this even possible? It doesn't even make sense in the numbers. But you have to be careful combining your purpose with this kind of convoluted reality.
Yeah.
You have to really be careful because then your purpose will start getting jacked up. You'll start looking at a response when you don't need a response for purpose. You really don't. Your purpose is to just do. Your purpose is to do.
Yeah.
And the rest will come. It's inevitable. It has to come. Just like, for example, what you were saying in the beginning about how you never thought that we would be on this talking on the phone, so forth and so on. But you don't have to worry about, you didn't get to where you are as far as like talking to me is concerned by going viral. You talk to me because you just make sense and because you're on your purpose. And so I gravitate, they say, law of attraction says like attracts like. I gravitate to someone who is on their purpose, on their mission. And so many people do. Because that's just law of attraction. That's just how it works.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%.
Yeah. So just we just got to keep on going. So I want to talk to you about something that's very, very interesting. I don't even know how we can talk about this without getting into Moors and Moorship, but I
Yeah.
don't want to go that far
Yeah.
because people, I don't want to limit people's understanding. I just want to try to help. And I feel that if we go into Moors, it will disconnect. I think that people
Yeah.
will not get it because that is advanced. That's exceptionally advanced.
Yeah.
That people, I don't think that they're ready for it. I think
No.
that if you were to tell the wrong people about Moors, we would have more of a problem. And so
Right.
we don't want to, so I want to know, I want us to talk about what is Black.
And you know what's funny you say that is, so I kind of stay away from like, more stuff and that kind of stuff because I don't have the knowledge to even speak on it really. I have some friends that are Moors, but I like to discuss, the identity of Blackness because to me, that is the number one thing that has us in bondage is being Black. And because the problem is when you're Black, you already have the script, you already have the box, you already have everything already prepared for you. So when you come out the womb and you say you're Black, it's already context given to you. You don't have a choice. So to me, Black is a system of control. It's nothing different than the Matrix. It's just when white people say you're Black, they've already formed in their mind what you are. So they're already saying, okay, if you think about it, it's just simple, right? If you're Black, you're gonna more likely be Democratic. You're gonna more likely live around Black people. You go more likely like hip hop culture. You go more like it's just it's a script. It's a script and a narrative, and if you deviate from it, more than likely they're gonna say you a traitor to your race.
Correct.
So it's just, yeah, to me, Black in itself dehumanizes you because it makes you a thing, like you're a Black woman versus just being a woman. Once I put Black in front of it, it already has the connotation. Just like and I know, HBCU, Black college, is not the same as regular college.
Right. Right.
Black neighborhood is not the same as white neighborhood.
Right. Or just neighborhood.
Just neighborhood. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just neighborhood. Yeah, I did it myself right there.
Yeah. You just did it. Yeah, you just did
I just did it.
Yeah.
See?
And I had to correct someone on IG. He had made a comment and said something about you are a Black queen and you shouldn't be talking about this and the other. And I said, I am not your Black queen. I am the I am. That's the first thing. And second of all, if I am a queen, I'm just a queen. I'm not your Black queen. You try to box me in while giving me a compliment. No. You keep that compliment because you telling me that I'm a Black queen makes it as if I'm not a queen if I was something else. It don't matter what color I decide to use in this particular realm, I would still be the I am. It just so happens that the I am kind of configured and decided that this was the shell that it wanted to take at this time. And so I'm okay with that. I appreciate that. I enjoy it because I believe that some of these attributes are much better in the shell that I'm in. I can't say that that's not true. I would prefer to be African American or melanated or Black or whatever word you want to use. We can't use Black because we're about to just wear that. We're about to wear that word out. But I would prefer to be African American than anything else because there's so much that comes with it. There, Black don't crack. You don't age as quickly. You have better muscle mass. You have better recovery. The way that I talk, my mannerisms, the way that I can respond to rhythm and vibration and frequency, it's much deeper. It's much more rich. It's richer. So trust me, I don't want to be anything else. However, if I was something else, I would still be the I am and I would still be a queen. And so I had to let him know. And then I don't think he responded after that, poor thing. But I had to let him know, no, don't, I'm not your Black queen. Don't do that. Don't try to force me into something you know, like you just said, I'm Black, therefore you have to be a Democrat. No, I don't. No, I do not. Don't force me into something just because that is the stereotype that you know that you have conditioned yourself to be in. You know, that's not me. So you know, I love words, Blanchard. You know how much I love words. So there's a difference between nationality and ethnicity.
Yes.
Nationality is the relationship between a person and the political state to which he belongs or is affiliated.
Yeah.
Ethnicity, however, is the identification of a person with a particular race, culture, or religious group. And that's huge. I think that, I know that 99% of Black people don't know that they don't have a nationality, that they have an ethnicity. I'm telling you, they don't know. They have no idea.
And you know what's crazy? We don't know. You know how much we don't know? Because first, we got called Negro and we didn't like it anymore.
Right.
And then we got called Black and we accepted it. But then before, Black was offensive. And then you was color. And then color was offensive. And then I'm like, all these are letting you know that you don't have a nationality. They just giving you a name change. Like they're just telling you that basically they're giving you an identity. They're giving you an ethnicity. You're not who you are. You're who they say you are. And so the problem is with us, we don't understand it. We don't even have a flag. Like there's no flag for Black America. We can't think about it. If we went to the UN right now, and this is what King and Malcolm X were going to run into, they were going to run into trying to get reparations for what you call Black people was going to be difficult because the UN is going to say, well, what country do you represent? Because you can't represent the United States because they already have a flag and nationality. And that, so who are you representing?
Right.
So there's nothing to tie us to the land. And to me, that was a trick in the first place to keep us disassociated from the land. And so they said, you're from Africa. Think about it. I went to Africa. And they told me, you're not African.
That's correct.
I went there. I said, "You, my brother, sister." It's like, listen, you're not African. They told me straight up. I went to several countries. They all told me the same
your
thing.
Face. They told you to your Black face. You ain't African.
You ain't African. I said, wait a minute. It was like, no, ain't no wait a minute. They said They said you either American or European, but you ain't African. So they bust my bubble.
And I try to tell people all the time, because I've worked with a lot of Nigerians. I work with a lot of Nigerians, and I tell people all the time, they're not rooting for you. They don't think you think, oh, we brothers and sisters. Oh, no, you're not.
No.
Oh, and this is not anything against African people. I'm just trying to let people know, just like you can't go to Russia and then you be a Russian. You can't go to China and be Chinese. You can't go to China and say, oh, well, you know, China used to be a part of Africa, thus you're African, thus I'm also African American, thus I'm Chinese by provocation. No, no, sweetheart, no. They trick your ass into thinking that so that you can wear more kente cloth and buy all this kind of stuff and then get involved in a lot of scams. And that's the truth. A lot of it is real. There is Yoruba, there is African religion, the African diaspora and all this other stuff. I'm not saying in any way that we should not be connected to our ancestors. I'm not saying that. Of course, I would never say that. But a lot of it is they're scamming you.
Yeah.
They're just scamming you, telling you that if you go through all of these different rites of passage and you go through all of this stuff, that you're somehow now African. No, you are not. No, you are not. Go ahead, Blanchard.
So basically, like, I listened to this one pastor, and he was talking about how he found our DNA is different. Like, our DNA is different than African DNA. He was like, so even in the slave trade, the numbers they said were exaggerated. It wasn't that many African slaves that actually came to North America. Most slaves went to South America and the Caribbean, but even still, we were still already over here. And so the Native Americans we even see today aren't really the ones from back in the day, because there was so many white people that bought their tribal memberships. It's so much misinformation out there to where we don't know where we're from. So they tell us Africa. And it's funny to me that they give you a DNA test, and the DNA test says, "Oh, you from Africa? Okay, well, what tribe? What country? What are you from Africa? You from one of these countries? Oh, conveniently on the west coast, on the western coast of Africa." But if we go by the numbers, though, Megan, the numbers don't even add up.
No.
They don't even have enough slave ships on record to even match what they're saying even came to North America. Like, the numbers don't add up. And you're thinking about the trip, none of this stuff really adds up if we think about it. If we think about it hard and long, the stuff don't add up, because it was too many of us during those later in the 1700s and 1600s to just have been brought over here, because you got to survive the trip, And so
yeah,
I agree with you. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry, Blanche. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I agree with you that most of the stuff is lies. I even venture to say, Megan, for what I'm gathering, is that I don't even believe we was over in Africa that we was actually connected with the Africans, because if you think about it, they said the oldest living humanoid was found in Africa, which is Lucy, right?
Yes.
But that technically is not a human; it's a humanoid. It ain't really a human being. So the oldest living human being was found in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that, because you got to think back in the Bible, when they were talking about they used to flee the Middle East and go to Africa to hide. So based on science, we see that humanoid oldest was in Africa, but actual oldest living human being was in Israel. And so they said they found that we were in Israel 50,000 years before they thought civilization was even there. So that means before they even thought anything was there, we was already over there with a civilization. And so the oldest human beings could possibly be from the Middle East and not Africa per se, but actually it's all the same thing, because it's just everything was connected.
Well, what you're saying is very, very true. And it takes us into more conversation, which I said
I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to go to I didn't want to listen.
But just briefly, I agree with you 110%. And if people would just do some basic research, they would find out that there were already people here, obviously, when Columbus got here. So we know, we know that. We already know that. We don't have to keep going over that. We know, everybody agrees with that. Okay, even Columbus people know that people were already here. But what they keep trying to tell you is that it was just the Indians. And the reason why they're just telling you that it was Indians or Native Americans or whatever word you want to use that were here is because they've pretty much killed all of them off. So they don't have enough in the numbers to really make a difference. But they do have a small enough number, a small enough minority to be paid off.
Yes.
So they have, let's say they got 10,000 of them. Oh, okay, well, we can give you, $1,000 a month, give you a couple, 2-3 casinos, and then we're done with you, right? It's a small amount.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that Moors are in fact a combination of Arabs and Arabanized Iberians.
Okay.
And not only that, the Moors that were, the people that were already here in America were a light-skinned, almost like a mulatto looking person. They were like light-skinned Black people, I refuse to say like me because I'm trying to get a tan, and when I get my tan, I'm not gonna be. But anyway, they were not the very, very, very dark skin. Why? Because you didn't need to be exceptionally dark skinned, because you were not in that type of environment with the sun beating on you. So for the source, you didn't have to be that dark. Those light-skinned people. They didn't have that wavy kind of mixed hair, but they were light. They were lighter than the Africans. Those were the people that were already here, who also owned slaves when the trade started coming through. They owned slaves, but what they had to do, they had to kill almost every single, they had to make a very distinguished difference between mixed children, meaning from the slaves, right? A slave and a master had sex, and then they had a mixed child, and a regular high yellow or fair-skinned Black person that was already here. Because the fair-skinned Black people that were already here knew the truth.
Yeah.
So there was a distinct and intended killing of and separation from these light-skinned people and dark-skinned slaves from Africa, because they had to get rid of this knowledge. Because let's say for example, you knew that your great grandparents were not slaves. Yeah. Well, that changes everything. Just that right there. Just that one part right there. Your ancestors were not slaves. They were already here. They already owned land. They owned, let's say they owned 100 acres of land. They owned their own, they built their own houses. They had whatever was going on at that time agriculturally. Well, they had it. They were already here. Boom. Then, in order to get half of their land, they were given a family of slaves. Let's just say they say, okay, well, we'll give you $50 per acre. We want 50 acres. We'll give you $50 per acre, and then we'll give you a family of workers that will help you toil. They weren't called slaves back then. It was just workers. Well,
indentured servants or something.
Toil this other 50 acres of land that you have.
Yeah.
And then your great-great-great-grandfather was like, well, hell yeah, I need some people to come work, come work on this shit, and then, we can just, I'll build you a little house or whatever. You can build your own house out there on the acres or whatever. You toil this land. Okay. Then, so you got 50 acres of land. And then let's say your great-great-grandfather, that son, he got some more land, and now you went back and you have 100 acres, and da-da-da-da. Well, by the time you're born, not only do you already have acres and acres, probably 500-600 acres of land in your family, because it's just been transferred down. Yeah. But you have no connection of any kind to slavery at all. None. Yeah. None. Zero. You don't know anything about it. You're like, well, we had workers, like we had people, it's just like when you talk to somebody rich, they don't say that we had slaves. They say we had a nanny. We had a maid. We had a housekeeper. We had a butler. We had people to come and wash our cars. We didn't have slaves. We had people with whom we paid a discounted rate to come and do work that we did not want to do. Yeah. But Black people have this whole idea that, and like you said, the numbers don't add up. You have this whole idea that everybody that touched this ground that was melanated was a slave. And that is, in fact, 100% not true.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? So Columbus, basically like Columbus, he had like diaries, and he used to write poetry and stuff. And so basically I read something where Columbus was looking for the Fountain of Youth, and he was looking for the Holy City. And so basically he was describing the people when he went to the islands, and he was like, copper skin, bronze, copper, gold. Like these were the terms they were using. They weren't actually using, they didn't say like dark skin. They just like copper, bronze, gold, call them some people, whatever, just those kind of tones of the people he saw. So I looked up, I was like, well, Holy City. So I looked up Holy City, and you know what the Holy City is in the world? Charleston, South Carolina.
I was going to say something about them Carolina people. Them Carolina people know their history. I'm telling you. Okay, go ahead.
So then he said he wanted to go find the Fountain of Youth. the Fountain of Youth technically is in Florida. So I remember one time we went to the La Brea Tar Pits, the museum. You
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
been
yeah.
there.
Of course, over there
Yeah,
off of
you good.
not Fairfax, off of Olympic. Wilshire,
You
Wilshire.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
Wilshire.
So when you go inside and go to the bottom, they show you the timeline of California, but they show you the visual timeline of the people and what they were doing. So they had a family that looked like they were like maybe Native American or Mexican, right? You had the mother, the children, the dad, but the grandmother looked like my grandmother. And then there was another picture, and it said these were ancient California warriors. So they had a guy that looked like Mexican, and then the guy next to him throwing the same spear looked like me. I'm talking about with a short little afro. And I said, okay, so they're letting you know that, because even Los Angeles was founded by what you call Black people from Mexico in Spanish. So the first mayor and governor first mayor of LA was Black. So it's just like, so again, the history that we have has been so watered down and taken away, because to me, they don't want to give us the land. And so the greatest pump fake is you from Africa. So that totally separates you from even being here at all. Like, you don't have no claims to America at all. Africa. Matter of fact, they reinforced it with African American because Black wasn't good enough. They said, you know what? You're African American now, which is ridiculous because it don't even make sense. And none of this stuff makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
African American, 5 slave ships on record. No, it just don't make. And then you talk to older Black people, they don't even remember slavery. Like, you talk to a lot of Black people, they don't even remember that their great grandma was a slave. Like, I don't remember, you know what I mean? So yeah. I would love to trace back my history, because I know for a fact that my great grandmothers on both sides is what you call Native American, on both sides of my family. Same, you know, and so I don't know. It's just, to me, it was a trick to get us away from the land, because if we have claims to the land, that changes everything. If we're from here, that changes literally politics. It changes the landscape of everything in America, because now we're old. Now you got to pay up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what. And I did a video on IG close to the election, and I was trying to really touch the heart of so-called Black people, and I kept telling them, "This is your country. This is your country. Don't get involved in that bullshit about, because here's the thing, the African American terminology literally takes you even further away. I'd rather be called colored, to be honest, because African American literally takes you on the other side of the world. They're basically telling you through that terminology where you belong, or where your land is, or whatever, is on the other side of the world. So go back over there and get your land. And like you said, you went over there and they told you, oh, no. Oh, no, my brother.
No.
It ain't here, homeboy. You take your ass back over there to America and get what you can, but we don't have anything for you.
Yeah.
And
I had a girl. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, you go.
I had a girl tell me in Africa, she said, I can look in your eyes and tell you that you're not African. I'm telling you, I said, goodness. She said, I looked in your eyes. I said, God, listen, they brutally honest. But go ahead.
I can look you in your pupils
and see
and tell you. No, but they actually have a way to look at the way your eye is shaped, the way your nose is shaped, the way your mouth is, the way that you enunciate certain words. They can tell you what tribe you're from.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
No, straight up. I've had Africans look at me and go, "Oh yeah, if you were African, you'd be a part of the whatever."
Yeah.
Or the whatever. And I'm like, how you know what tribe I be? They're like, oh yeah, we can tell by your nose. We can tell by the color of your skin. We can tell by your eyes. I'm like, what kind of shit is this? This is crazy. So because it's been ingrained and it's real, like the genealogy is real.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and so it's not just like, oh well, yeah, I'm from Africa. Oh, it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. And so I remember watching, and I cannot find this video, and it has been bothering me for at least 2 or 3 years. There was a video of a man who was about my color and skin color, and he was from either North Carolina or South Carolina. I can't remember. He was an older man, and he was speaking to a group of people, and what he said was, he said the reason why he was talking to the people, he said, and they were all Black. He said the reason why you are all a mess, and you're so angry and all of this stuff. He said because you don't know anything about where you come from.
Yeah.
He said every single person in my family knows exactly who their great grandmother, great grandmother, the grandfather. They know all the grandfather. He said all of my children and my grandchildren and my great grandchildren, they know everything.
Yeah.
They know it all the way down. He said, and we were never slaves. He said we owned the same land, and we owned hundreds and hundreds of acres in wherever they're from, South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever. He said we own property, we own land. He said, and we don't associate ourselves with any type of slave mentality because we've never been slaves.
Yeah.
He said we were never slaves. I cannot find this video, but he also breaks down. There was there was a theology that was, or ideology is probably a better word, that was followed by Jim Crow. He followed a certain guy.
Okay, I got you.
Was it? I can't remember who it was, but he followed a certain guy, and this guy that he followed is the one that this older Black man was talking about. And he said the absolute objective was to disassociate these colored people from their history. That's all they had to do. That was the only thing that they needed to do. Disassociate your knowledge of where you really are from. Because what happens is, if you don't have any roots, I mean, all you got to do is look at nature. If you don't have any roots, you can't grow. You're a mess. You die.
Yeah.
You die off. Period.
Yeah.
So even if your roots were slavery, but you still need to have specific understanding of that. It cannot just be, oh well, yeah, we were slaves, and they, cut the man's penises off and shoved it in his mouth, and they raped our women, and all this gory, horrible shit. You have to have more of an understanding, a well-rounded understanding, because then you can have some actual roots.
Yeah.
If slavery was not your lineage, the conversation completely changes. It just 100% completely changes. I know for a fact that it's not possible for my heritage to be in slavery, because I know at least where my father's side, I know where my mother and my father came from on my father's side.
Yeah.
And I know where my grandmother's grandmother came from. And there's no way.
Yeah.
No, it's no way. There was no slavery. Now, my grandmother's father, my great grandfather, he may have some slave history, maybe.
Yeah.
But the women, absolutely not. And on my father's side, no way.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And we just owned way too much land.
Yeah.
We owned too much land in Texas. Land that we still own to this day.
Yeah.
That was passed down. So it's not possible. And it wasn't a gift. It wasn't like a gift from the state or some shit like that. And the color, the skin color of my grandparents on my father's side is just no way. It's not possible. And I really think that, and plus my last name is McGlover, which is an Irish name. And so my cousin told me that our great were from Ireland. They actually came in from Ireland and then somebody ended up having sex with one of the Moors that was already here, another
Yeah.
person, and then they, ended up having children. But there was no slavery on my father's side, and that's why my father's side is the way that they are. That you will not see them marching for any reason, because there's no connection. There's like,
Yeah.
this is dumb. Why would we do that? Let's just go up to the Capitol or whatever and discuss what we want and why we want it. and that's the end of that. On my mother's side, there's a little more passion, but it's not this whole idea of browbeaten victimization. We don't live like that. We never have. We don't have, and I really do believe, and I've said it, I've been saying it for years, that there are some very strong distinctions in the Black community. There are some huge differences between African Americans. It's huge. It's
Yes.
huge. And I thought it was just me, but with all of this that has happened with Trump and so forth and so on, we're starting to understand, we are very different indeed.
Oh no, listen, my father used to tell me that, and I'm gonna tell you what two things. So my father used to tell me that he's from Oklahoma, and so his people are all what you consider Native Americans.
Yeah.
Since he was dark, since he was darker, they used to call him the nigger.
Wow.
Because he was the darker one. And it's funny because they all the same family, but because he was the darker one out of them, he said, they all got, that wavy hair, how they all look. But that's my dad's side of the family though. Like my great grandmother looked like that on his side, his grandmother, and on my grandfather. I remember one day he had bought this book, and it said Black Indians on it, and he said, we Indians. Now you a kid, you think about Indians on TV with the feathers and the the cow, all that. So I'm looking at my grandfather like, Indians. I was like, we ain't Indians. I said, we Black. He was like, we Indians, boy. He's like, read the book. So he gave me the book. I didn't read the book, but I remember. I know, we weren't supposed to read back then, but I had to
read it now, boy.
Yeah, listen. That same book though is a famous book. Because it's the red cover with a guy standing next to it, like a Native American, like a Black cowboy that standing next to Native American, and it said Black Indian on the front. That's actually a popular book. And that book has been around me since I was a little child. My grandfather saying that we Indians. But again, think about this though. My grandfather never mentioned nothing about slavery. My grandfather never mentioned nothing about, like, it was never even discussed. Only thing talked about lineage was being Black Indians. He never mentioned nothing about no slavery at all. On my father's side, he never mentioned nothing about, he said we was Indians too. He said the same thing. Our family is Indians. And so, like you, I know on both sides of my family, there are no kind of talks about slavery. We even have a family book on my grandfather's side, and that thing goes back to the 1700s, and it ain't no slavery. It ain't no slavery in there. It is just
nowhere in there.
They all own land and businesses. Like, it's no slavery in the book. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that changes. And I really believe, we talk about RNA and so forth and so on, and how the cell memory goes from generation to generation, and it's transferred down through the sperm. And so I really honestly believe that is really the distinction. I think that those of us who did not suffer those of us who did not suffer in our lineage some of those very, very horrific experiences.
Yeah.
I believe that we just don't have the same affinity to that rationale. We just don't have it because it doesn't. Now, do I have compassion for it? Of course, but I don't have passion. I have compassion, but I'm not passionate about constantly talking about slavery, because it's like foreign to me. It's like, it doesn't, I don't need to, and so I'm not trying to separate myself from the African American or Black community as much as I am just identifying myself as being separate.
Yeah.
because there really is, in my personal studies and in my belief, that there are some very extreme differences. Now, even with that being said, like for example, the numbers 110% do not show that Black people are being killed by white police officers at some alarming rate. Those are not the numbers. It's also not the numbers that Black people were being lynched and burned and raped and killed and all this other stuff, because you cannot have a system working in place when you kill everybody. You can't have it. You just can't have it.
It don't make financial sense.
Doesn't make financial sense. So what has happened is, of course, symbolism, which we talked about till our hair turns gray. Symbolism is used, and that's what you do. I mean, if you're a pimp, right? You're a pimp, and let's say you got 10 hoes in the house. You only have to beat one hoe. You don't have to beat all 10. You beat one.
Yeah.
You just beat one, and then you slap her around or whatever, and then you make her go in the room with all the other hoes, and then you tell her, to tell them that they better act right. That's all you have to do. You don't have to kill everybody. There was an experiment done on monkeys. Did you post this? Who posted this experiment?
I don't know, but I think I saw it. I think I saw the experiment though.
It may have been Boyce that posted it, but it said that they put 3 monkeys in the cage, and they put some food, they put some bananas out or something like that. And so when they had the 3 monkeys in the cage, they whenever they tried to reach for the bananas, they sprayed them with water hose, like a fire hydrant. They sprayed them real bad, and then they backed up. So, and then they stopped going to the water hose. I mean, to the bananas. Then they dropped another monkey into the cage who didn't know anything about any of this. He too went to the bananas and was like, "Oh God, it's free bananas. Let me go get a banana." As soon as he got close to the bananas, they sprayed him with water hose. They not only sprayed him, they sprayed all the other monkeys that were in there. So it's 3 monkeys and now a 4th one. They sprayed them all with a hose. They dropped a 5th monkey in there. And when they dropped him in there, the monkey said, "Oh, it's a free bananas." So he walked over towards the bananas. The monkeys, the other 4, attacked him and beat his ass. They beat him down.
Yeah.
Stay away from the bananas, nigga. They about to spray us. Move your ass back. So he's like, "Yo, what's going on? Why y'all hitting me?" Well, in monkey language, they told him, "Don't touch the bananas because they finna spray us. Back up." So now there's 5 monkeys in there. 4 that have been wet by the hose and 1 that has been beat.
Yeah.
They drop another monkey in there. Now they got 6 monkeys in there. The 6th monkey comes down into the cage and is like, "Oh, free bananas." He starts going towards the bananas. Now all 5, the 4 wet ones and the 1 that got beats the shit out of the 6th one.
Yeah.
They dropped the 7th one, 8th one. So after the 4th monkey, they didn't have to use a water hose ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the other monkeys are beating the shit out of the new monkeys that come in that want to get the bananas, but they're so afraid of the water hose, and they're afraid of something that actually hasn't happened to them personally. Because remember, after the 4th monkey, the 5th monkey never got the water hose.
Yeah.
He's only been beaten by the other monkeys. The 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. So now we are in a system that has been developed and created to make sure that the system doesn't have to do anything again.
No.
I have to bring out the water hose again. All we have to do is depend on the fact that Black people gonna beat the shit out of another Black person to say, oh, listen, this has happened, but it's only happened to 4 of you. Now there's 4,000 of you or 4 million of you, and you are beating each other for the 4 people. You've got slavery that happened, but you are still in slave mentality because you are beating the shit out of we're generations and generations and generations from that.
We are.
We're generations and generations from that. You don't see, and I know people don't like for me to bring up Jews, but I don't give a shit. You do not see Jews using the Holocaust as a bad thing. They use the Holocaust as an empowerment. It's an empowerment.
Listen, that Holocaust is the worst event that happened in the universe. Let them tell it. That is so when they speak about that Holocaust, that thing is spoken with pride. We made it through. You can't say nothing to us. You can't, you can't say nothing to them. As soon as you say, well, how'd you make it? Listen, we survived the Holocaust. First thing they're gonna say, no excuse for you. We went through the worst thing that ever happened in history and we made it. So yeah, the problem with us is we don't have an identity, and so they gave us one. And so all of our identity is rooted in trauma. Think about it. Soul food, the leftovers. We made it a delicacy. I told someone, I said, there is nothing good that Black people do in mass numbers. Nothing. I said, there is nothing that we do collectively that is good. You can look at most of us that vote Democratic, not good. Most of us don't vote. Most of us eat poorly. Most of us are not educated. Most of us are impoverished. Like there's nothing we do in mass numbers that's good, but it is by design. Because like you said, we on autopilot. All they do is tell you that, and you think about it from a country standpoint, America compared to everybody else didn't have slavery that long. Because you got to think from.
They still got slavery right now in some countries.
Thank you.
What the hell? It's 2021.
So for compared to these other countries, we didn't have slavery that long.
That's right.
But the problem is, it's so much dramatization involved. I said, think about it, man. I said, when they make a Holocaust movie, I said, they make you almost feel like sad and then they're heroes.
Right.
I said, when we have a slave movie, it's victimization. It's we down. It's almost like we still enslaved today. It's like athletes talking about, it's like we slaves. I remember LeBron James said, it's that plantation mentality. I was like, how is it a plantation mentality and y'all making hundreds of millions of dollars? I said, that's ridiculous. That don't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
But so I said, we got our whole identity entrenched in some traumatic stuff that most of us didn't even experience. We hold on to something that we didn't even experience. And then if I say this, I sound like, oh, you a sellout. I say, no, I'm not saying that. I'm telling y'all that they selling y'all a dream. They telling that you slave and you Black, so that when you go outside every day, you're not gonna try. You're gonna look at, think about it, Megan, who we actually fighting against when it comes to racism? We fighting against the average white person we see. The average white person minding their business. We looking and thinking that these people is doing something to us. And I said, the average white person is not oppressing you.
They're not even thinking about you. They're not even thinking nothing about you, huh? They ain't thought nothing about you and your mama. You Blanchard, do not get me started. Out here in Chicago, over on the south side of Chicago, those persons, those Black people, do not even see white people. The Black people work at the grocery stores. Black people work at the Black people are the electricians, the whatever, they work for the cable company. Black people do not, are their managers. Black people, they don't even see white people. They have no interaction with white people at all. If they do, it's in a service capacity.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, well, they didn't send Tyrone, they sent David to come and check your phone line or to check
Yeah.
your cable or whatever. But you don't have any direct racist, oppressive interaction with white people on the south side of Chicago. That's a fact. That's a fact. You don't. You do not. There's no white people around you.
Yeah.
They're nowhere there. So how can you have this much anger for white racism and white supremacy when you do not experience it? It's just like the monkeys. What you have is a memory that has been transferred down, by generations and generations through your cell makeup that makes you hate them as if you were being lynched at that time.
Yeah.
But even the 4 monkeys, we don't know that if they had tried one more time to get the bananas, if they would have been able to get the bananas. We don't know, because all we know is they said, nah, fuck it. Every time we go for the bananas, they hit us with this fire hose. Nobody ever said, oh, well, let's go and get a rock or something and put a thing up against the fire hose. Let's try to beat the person down that got the fire hose. Let's try to, maybe there's some other bananas somewhere around. None of that happened. All they said was, we do not enjoy this water hose thing. It is really messing with us. And so we are going to beat the shit out of every other monkey that comes in here and tries to get these bananas. We're going to beat them down. And that's where this whole whitewashed, traitor, Uncle Tom, coon, all this shit comes in. Because when I want to get the bananas, you're going to call me a coon. And I'm telling you, what are you talking about? There's some bananas here. No. You got to beat the other person down. Like we beat them. We got to all beat. No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do any of that. I want to get the bananas by any means necessary. So how are we going to get the bananas? I'm not in here to not get the bananas. I'm in here to get the bananas. So how do we get the bananas? You see? And so, but again, I really do think that comes from the memories that have been transferred down, the traumatic memories that have been transferred down in the actual cell makeup and in the blood of people that have been terrified to make any type of moves.
And it's crazy you say that, because Chicago, to me, and I look at things from a big picture, there are the most Black people in America in one place live in Chicago, right? Chicago has the most Black people. And look how Black people live in Chicago. That is a reflection of Black America. I said, so whatever's going on in Chicago, that's a reflection of Black America, because that's where most of Black people live in one place, not region, but far as city. So you can see how Black folks live in Chicago in concentrated numbers. This is why I tell people, we could fix it all. We could fix the system. We can fix police brutality. We could do all of it. And guess what? We still got to deal with what we created called Black culture, because Black culture is destructive. Black culture is the worst thing we could have created, because it's all based in oppression, trauma, lack, violence. It's all based in everything deplorable, and we worship the culture. We actually, you know what I'm saying? We love the culture. I'll be asking, I say, listen, y'all want to convince me that white people are so racist towards Black people, but for what? Think about it. In order to be racist, it got to be some kind of competition, meaning I have to fear that you're going to take over, right?
Correct.
Okay. Black people don't own anything.
Nothing.
We don't produce anything. We don't control anything. We don't have any resources. We are literally no threat to anybody in the country, which is why when foreigners come over here, they can all capitalize off of us, which is why we're the number one consumer group. We're the ones spending the money, because we pose no threat. We are literally the reverse of a slave now. We're a spender. So instead of just working in the cotton fields, now we just spend the money. And so we're under this illusion that, think about it, if we come together, if we rise up, they're afraid we're going to unify. All that is done to make Black folks feel good at night when they go to bed. But in actuality, there's nobody afraid of us. There's nobody threatened by us. We pose no threat. We're not unified. We're not gonna start a revolution. We are literally on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to social status. We're on the bottom. And I keep telling Black people, you all are caught up in the nostalgia of being Black, and it really doesn't even exist. Because at the end of the day, we don't even have enough interactions with white folks for it to be a problem. We don't interact enough. We don't on a national, we don't interact enough for it to be an issue with race. We don't, because the average white person ain't fooling with the average Black person. It's just how it's a fact. Like you said, you don't even see white people around you. So the media, you know what I asked Megan? I said, I'd asked about 100 Black folks. Have you ever seen a member of the KKK? Have you ever seen a neo-Nazi? Have you ever seen a white nationalist? I've had one person say yes out of at least 100 people. And I've asked Black folks that was old, from the South, West Coast, everybody, and they all said, we have never actually seen a member of the KKK. We've never actually seen a neo-Nazi. We've never actually seen a white nationalist. I said, wait a minute. So they got y'all fighting a group that you've never actually even seen. Think about it. Isn't it convenient that they always show these groups when the cameras are out? We only see these groups when the news crew is there. Why don't we ever see these groups just walking down the street? No, we never see these groups anywhere, but let the media tell you they all over the world, they all over the country, they looking for you, they hunting us.
Well, now it's the Proud Boys. Now it's a new group, because now they want them to go in hiding too. It's just a bunch of bullshit. Now it's the Proud Boys. And then what cracks me up is they have Proud Boys who are married to Black women and have children. Then they say, oh, well, this is a witch. What kind of shit?
Megan, they got Proud Boys that are Black. They got Proud Boys that are Hispanic. They got Proud Boys that are Pacific Islander. They even got gay Proud Boys. So wow. I'm just like, wow. I asked people, I said, name me a white nationalist that's Black. Name me a KKK member that's Black. I said, name me a neo-Nazi that's Black. I said, so clearly the racist white groups don't have people of color in them. They just don't. I said, so you can't say, oh, they letting Black folks in and they still, like, the funny thing to me is, Megan, is that Black folks just keep moving the cheese. So if a white person is in the Proud Boys and their best friend is Black, the Black person is a sellout. Okay, if the Black person's in the Proud Boys, okay, he a sellout. Okay, if a Spanish person in the Proud Boys, okay, they a sellout, or they brainwashed. Like, they just keep moving the cheese. What if it's not a racial group?
Right.
The guy, Bob Johnson.
How about that?
The guy, Bob Johnson, he's the writer for the white nationalists. He even wrote that the Proud Boys are not a racial group. He said they deal with civil issues. They don't deal with race. They're not racist. The white nationalist spokesperson writer said this. He wrote that they're not a racist. So I'm like, if he's saying they're not racist, why are you saying they're a racist group? When clearly, but guess what? It's media. And most of this Blackness that we have, think about it. In the movies, Megan, they used to have the Black actors come from the Black neighborhoods, acting Black, right? Mm-hmm. They would say, no, don't do like this, walk like this, talk that jive talk. They'd be like, well, Black folks don't actually walk like that. Well, just do it like, they created a Black image. They actually created a fake Black persona of, we used to do like, all that stuff that, all the Black potential, all that was an exaggeration of Black culture. It wasn't really real. But we started imitating the movies like we imitate the rap and the music. So it's like art imitates life, where the art became life. So now you had a bunch of Black folks acting like what was in the films versus the films being based on something that wasn't real in the first place.
Yeah. What's that movie that Eddie Murphy just did? Dolomite. It's like Dolomite. Dolomite was a complete fabrication. Like, it was a complete fabrication. But the powers that be, the media, came in and said, oh no, we like that because it's just over the top foolishness.
Yes.
They were having sex and the ceilings falling down and and all this other stuff. Like, come on, ain't nobody doing it. Way down in the jungle deep. One step on the signify. Like, ain't none of this is happening. Nothing happened way down in the Jungle Deep where a lion stepped on a monkey. That never happened. you know, but it is something in psychology that we call stereotype threat. And stereotype threat is it's a psychological threat that arises when someone has to deal and or be the negative stereotype that applies to a person's group. So if you are not Black enough, then you will over Blackatize yourself.
Got you.
So you can be Black because your stereotype is being threatened. So it's called stereotype threat.
Got you.
So for example, Asians are really good at math, but they're really good at math for a specific reason. It's not because they're Asian, it's because of the way that they deal with math.
Yeah.
They don't count the same way we count. And over there, they don't have breaks. They don't have summer breaks and all this other stuff. So they're better at things because they don't stop doing things. And so we already know that time and pressure is what makes you the best, time and pressure. So if you take away time, and which also means you take away pressure, well, then you will be behind in your manifestation and or production of the best of whatever you're trying to do. So in Asia, the reason why they are better educationally or musically or whatever is because time and pressure is never released. It's a constant.
Yeah.
Right? So anyways, so if an Asian child is in school and the Asian child is in school amongst a bunch of other nationalities or a bunch of other races, ethnicities, so nationalities and ethnicities, there is a pressure on the Asian child to be exceptionally smarter than everybody else. But that is actually a negative connotation because of the amount of pressure in which it puts on that child. Even though being smart is a good thing, it becomes a negative stereotype because it is expected. So what happens with Blacks, or the ethnicity of Blackness, I think I'm gonna start calling it that. The ethnicity of Blackness, the problem is that the stereotype threat is all negative.
Facts.
There's no positive.
Facts.
In order for you to have Blackness, you have to be sagging your pants, smoking weed, talking shit, jive talking, same thing, talking shit, several different wives, several different baby mamas, blah, 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 blah. In like you were saying, in mass production.
And rooted from slavery. So your starting point is slavery, then you go to all that stuff, but your foundation is slavery. You ain't got no real history. It's slave and then where you are today. Yeah, it doesn't come from like for example, in China, so let's say you have a Chinese person who's here in the States. Their recollection of hard times is, well, my great-grandfather owned 12 acres of rice. Rice farm. Or the rice fields. Yeah. Rice field, thank you. Yeah. Rice fields. And he had to work 18 hours a day to make rice. Yes. So he struggled because he was never with his family. He couldn't sleep. He didn't have time to eat. Blah, 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 because he was always in the fields making rice. People don't understand that making rice is very difficult, which is why they make plastic nowadays, because making real rice is very, very challenging. Yeah, I saw that process. It's crazy. Yeah, the process is ridiculous. And so they now make rice out of plastic. But their struggle is my great-great-grandfather or my great-grandfather toiled the soil to make this on his own land, and was selling rice to make a profit to get the different things that he needed. And so, yes, they have a struggle. They come from hard times. They're very passionate about
you know, I don't want to do that. You know, I come from it. I don't want to relive that. I have something, I have this, I use this as motivation. I use this as my passion, blah, blah, blah. But Black ethnicity, Blackness doesn't have that. You were constantly being struggled. You were struggling and beaten and all of this other stuff for somebody else. It wasn't yours. You didn't get nothing from it. They paid you a penny a day. It's all negative. It starts off exceptionally negative. And like you said, it just sprouts out into more negativity. You may have 1 out of every 1,000 kids that go to an Ivy League school or that start their own business out here in Chicago. I'll just make this point and then we can, we can move on if you want. There have been over 120 armed carjackings in the month of January in Chicago. First of all, this is not New Jack City. Who in the hell is carjacking?
In 2021.
What? To do what? Ain't no chop chops. Where are you taking the cars? What are you doing? And then come to find out, it's 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds, carjacking ladies, old ladies, all kind of people. They're going up to them in their cars, in their garages, while they're standing outside trying to warm their car up because, it's snowing, it's a blizzard out here. You got to warm your car if you want to go. They're carjacking. This is not racism. This is black on black crime.
You can't say that, Megan. Listen.
Oh,
you can't.
This is my shit. I can say what I want.
You can't say black on black crime because when you say that, you saying that there's not any white on white crime. They don't want you to say black, so you can't. And again, I made this point that I always make. You are not allowed to hold black people accountable. I said, as soon as you hold black folks accountable, the first thing they're going to say is, but white people.
What?
I had two grown men, one from Chicago, one from down south. They both told me they were raised in 2-parent households. They said our parents raised us right, great upbringing. We were never struggling, no syrup sandwiches, none of that stuff. We grew up the right way. But I said, what happened? Oh, we still went to the streets. Now I said, hold on now. I said, your parents raised you right. You didn't want for anything, and you still went to the streets. And they said, yeah, because these white folks. I said, hold on. I said, hold on. I said,
Jesus.
Hold on. I said, your parents raised you right, gave you every opportunity to succeed in life, and your excuse is, but these white people? I said, no. I said, you can't make me accept that black people have to do crime because of some white folks did. I'm sorry. Because I grew up in the same environment, and there was plenty of kids that did not do it. There were plenty of kids that did do it. But guess what? My issue is it still involved a choice. So at the end of the day, I don't care if they put the drugs in the community. You ain't got to sell them or use them.
That's correct.
I don't care if they put the guns in the community. If they bring the guns in on the train, Megan, then leave the guns on the train.
Leave them on the train.
So you can't tell me that white folks is making you do anything, because the average white person, I told somebody, I said, it's 10% of white people oppressing everybody. Not just black, it's 10% of white folks oppressing everybody because they control everything.
That's right.
I said, but there's no average white person walking around oppressing you. It's just not true. And so our culture is all negative. There is nothing positive about black culture. Even when we try to make it positive, it's always a tie back to slavery. Like there's nothing in it. Like, who would you be? Let me ask something, Megan. What would happen to black people if white folks disappeared tomorrow? We wake up tomorrow morning and there's no more white people. What would happen?
Nothing. Not a damn. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what happened.
Okay.
It should get worse.
Thank you. Thank you.
Worse.
Thank you.
Worse. Guaranteed fact.
Thank
You ought to be grateful that the white people out here trying to help you not kill yourselves. They trying to help you. They trying to help you, Blanchard.
Megan, in 2020, Black homicide went up, police homicide went down. What are we talking about?
It went up 150%.
Black homicide went up during the pandemic,
150%.
and the police homicides went down. So that means in a year, when the police was killing less, we killed more.
Sense, Blanchard.
I said we can fix everything, and we still would have to deal with what we created called Black culture. We still got to
Megan McGlover coming to your life.
Am I saying it right?